The stars twinkled peacefully above the New Mexico desert as Dr. Alan Carter adjusted his radio telescope. It was just past midnight, and most of the research staff had gone home hours ago. Alan preferred the night shift. The quiet helped him think, and the equipment worked better when the local radio traffic died down. "Something weird tonight?" asked Linda Ross, his research assistant, bringing him a cup of coffee. "Maybe," Alan said, tapping the screen. "I've been picking up an odd pattern for the last 3 nights. Too regular to be natural." Linda leaned over his shoulder, her blonde hair falling forward as she studied the readout. "Doesn't match any of our satellite patterns." "Exactly." Alan took a sip of coffee and grimaced at the bitterness. "I think we should alert the director." 12 hours later, observatories across the globe confirmed it. Something was approaching Earth. Something big. Within days, the strange signal grew stronger. Government officials from major nations gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Alan found himself sitting beside Major Susan Wright, a stern-faced military strategist with short gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "They're slowing down," Alan explained to the room of nervous officials. "Whatever these objects are, they're using some kind of propulsion that defies our understanding of physics." Major Wright nodded. "How many?" 7 large objects, each roughly the size of Manhattan. The room fell silent. 3 days later, they arrived. 7 massive ships, sleek and silver, positioned themselves in orbit around Earth. News channels broadcast their arrival nonstop. Religious groups claimed it was the end times. Stock markets crashed. Panic spread through cities. Then the transmission came. Every screen on Earth, televisions, phones, computers, displayed the same image. A tall, thin being with blue-tinted skin and 3 pairs of eyes arranged vertically. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zixvorn of the Galactic Council. We have observed your species for centuries and have determined that you are not yet ready for integration into the galactic community." Alan and Susan sat in the UN emergency session, watching alongside world leaders. "Your species is too violent, too unpredictable," continued the alien. "The Council has voted. You will surrender all military capabilities and accept vassal status under Council protection or face cleansing." The Secretary General stood up shakily. "What exactly does cleansing mean?" The alien's top set of eyes blinked slowly. "The removal of your species from this planet, to be replaced with a more suitable one." Gasps filled the chamber. "You have 14 Earth days to comply. We await your answer." The transmission ended. President Ramirez of the United States was the first to speak. "This is obviously unacceptable." "But what choice do we have?" asked the French Prime Minister. "Their technology is clearly centuries beyond ours." Major Wright stood up. "With respect, sir, surrendering isn't an option. Once we give up our ability to defend ourselves, we're at their mercy forever." Within hours, the world's major powers convened an emergency war council. Susan Wright found herself promoted to general overnight, placed in charge of Earth's unified defense strategy. General Kate Moore, a veteran commander with a reputation for unconventional tactics, addressed the assembled military leaders. "They expect us to surrender without a fight," she said firmly. "That will be their first mistake." Alan worked with scientists around the clock, studying the alien ships from every available observatory. "Their energy readings are off the charts," he reported, "but they have a strange pattern to them, almost like a pulse." 5 days after the ultimatum, as nations scrambled to prepare, a small team of researchers and military personnel gathered in a secure facility beneath the Nevada desert. The room was dominated by a large object covered with a tarp. Dr. Paul Johnson, a physicist with wild gray hair and nervous hands, pulled off the cover. Underneath was what appeared to be a piece of twisted metal with strange markings. "You have heard rumors," he said. "Now you get confirmation. In 2089, something crashed in this desert. Not everything was destroyed. We've been studying it ever since." General Moore's eyes widened. "You've had alien tech for almost 70 years?" "Yes," Dr. Johnson nodded. "And we've made progress." Project Safeguard was created for exactly this scenario. First contact gone wrong. He gestured to Commander Olivia Martinez, who activated a wall screen showing designs for weapons and defensive systems. We reverse-engineered what we could, Olivia explained. We've developed prototype weapons that might penetrate their shielding based on the technology from the crash. The gathered officials looked at each other with the first glimmer of hope. Their ships are advanced, Alan observed, studying the schematics. But they're not expecting us to have anything that can touch them. What if we use that overconfidence against them? General Moore smiled grimly. Now you're thinking like a soldier, Dr. Carter. Over the next days, the plan took shape. On the surface, Earth's governments appeared to debate the Council's terms, requesting extensions and clarifications. Meanwhile, using stealth technology developed from the crashed ship, Earth began deploying satellites carrying the experimental weapons. Sam Richards, a former hacker recruited by the military, discovered something crucial while analyzing the alien transmissions. Their communications are encrypted, but the pattern is consistent, Sam explained, pushing his glasses up his nose. Their systems are advanced, but their security protocols are standardized across their fleet. One back door gets us into everything. On E. Day 12. With just 2 days remaining before the deadline, Earth was ready. In orbit, the Council ships maintained their positions, unaware of the web of stealth satellites now surrounding them. Ambassador Zixvorn sent a message to Earth's leaders. We notice your militaries are still active. This is disappointing. In the underground command center, General Moore stood before screens showing the positions of every Council ship. Alan, Susan, and the key members of Operation Thunderstrike gathered around her. They think we're primitive, Moore said. They think we're divided and afraid. Let's show them how wrong they are. She turned to Commander Martinez. Is everything in position? Olivia checked her tablet and nodded. All satellites deployed and operational. Sam's virus is ready to deploy. Moore looked at each person in the room, her expression grave but determined. In all of human history, we've fought each other, nation against nation, but today we fight as one planet, for our home, for our future. She took a deep breath. Commence Operation Thunderstrike. The order went out. Across the globe, people waited, watching the sky, wondering if they would live to see another sunrise. In orbit, the alien ships never saw the attack coming. The stealth satellites activated all at once. Small, dark, and nearly invisible against the backdrop of space, they had been positioned around each alien vessel over the past 7 days. Now they released concentrated energy pulses based on the technology from the Nevada crash site. The alien ship's shields flickered blue, then failed completely. In the Nevada command center, Sam Richards pressed the final key on his computer. Virus deployed, he announced, his voice steady despite the beads of sweat on his forehead. The virus spread through the alien network like wildfire. On half the Council ships, life support systems shut down. Weapons systems went offline. Communication arrays died. They're in chaos, reported Commander Martinez, watching the data stream in. 4 ships completely disabled. The other 3 have partial systems failure. Admiral Krelar of the Council fleet stared in disbelief at his failing command systems. Alarms blared across the ship. Crew members rushed back and forth, trying desperately to restore critical functions. Impossible, he muttered, his 3 sets of eyes blinking rapidly in stress. These primitives couldn't possibly... His communications officer interrupted. Admiral, we've lost contact with half the fleet. The humans have weapons that... An explosion rocked the ship. The Admiral grabbed his console to steady himself. Send a message to the Council, he ordered. The humans have weapons that shouldn't be possible. They've crippled our fleet. Request immediate reinforcements. But the message never reached the Council. Sam's virus had made sure of that. Back on Earth, humanity watched with a mixture of hope and fear as the alien ships lost power. Some began to drift out of orbit. Others managed to maintain their position but were clearly damaged. In Washington, D.C., crowds gathered in front of the White House. In Moscow's Red Square, people stood silently, eyes on the sky. In Beijing, Shanghai, London, Paris, and every major city, humanity held its breath. In the Nevada Command Center, General Moore studied the tactical displays. "Their ships are crippled, but not destroyed," she said. "We need to press our advantage before they can regroup." Dr. Johnson stepped forward. "The weapons on the satellites were just phase 1. We have more." He led the command team to another section of the underground facility. Behind a heavy security door was a hangar containing 3 sleek spacecraft, unlike anything publicly known to exist on Earth. "Based on the crash technology," Dr. Johnson explained. "We've been testing them in secret for decades. They can reach the alien ships in orbit." General Moore turned to Commander Martinez. "Olivia, can you fly one of these?" Martinez nodded. "Yes, ma'am. My team and I have trained on the simulators." "Then prepare for launch. We need to capture one of those ships intact. We need their navigation data to find where they came from." Within an hour, the 3 Earth ships launched from hidden facilities in Nevada, Siberia, and the Australian outback. They rose through the atmosphere sleek and fast, leaving trails of blue fire behind them. In orbit, the disabled alien vessels were easy targets. Martinez led her ship toward the largest one, the Yao, command vessel carrying Admiral Krelar. "Target locked," she reported back to Earth. "Beginning boarding sequence." On the Council ship, the alien crew panicked as the human vessel attached itself to their hull. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, but they weren't designed to repel boarders. The Council had never needed such defenses before. Martinez led a team of 20 soldiers in advanced spacesuits. They cut through the alien hull using tools designed from the Nevada crash technology. Within minutes, they were inside. The alien crew, tall and thin with their distinctive blue skin, were not warriors. Most surrendered immediately. Those who resisted found that their energy weapons, designed to kill instantly, had been rendered useless by Sam's virus. Admiral Krelar was captured on the bridge, still trying desperately to restore communications with the Council. "This is impossible," he said when Martinez approached him. "You're a primitive species. You shouldn't have this technology." "You underestimated us," Martinez replied simply. "That was your mistake." Back on Earth, cities erupted in celebration as news of the successful boarding spread. For the first time since the alien ships appeared, people dared to believe they might survive. But in the Nevada Command Center, the mood remained tense. "This is just the beginning," General Moore cautioned. "The Council will send more ships when they realize what's happened." Alan Carter studied the data coming in from the captured ship. According to their navigation charts, the Council controls most of the galaxy, hundreds of species under their rule. "Slaves, you mean?" said General Wright, looking over his shoulder. "Essentially, yes," Alan agreed. "And now we've humiliated them. They won't let that stand." General Moore turned to Dr. Johnson. "How many more of those ships can we build? And how quickly? With the right resources and global cooperation, dozens, maybe hundreds within a year. And the weapons?" Dr. Johnson smiled slightly. "Now that we have access to their actual technology instead of just the crash remnants, we can do much more, Sam." Richards looked up from his computer. "I found something in their database. Coordinates for other Council outposts near our solar system." General Moore's eyes gleamed. "Then we don't wait for them to come back. We take the fight to them. Across Earth, nations united in an unprecedented way. Factories converted to building components for the new ships. Scientists worldwide collaborated on weapons development. Military forces combined and trained for space combat. On the 13th day after the Council's ultimatum, Earth launched its first attack fleet. 5 ships, built using the captured alien technology, left orbit with clear objectives: disable the nearest Council outposts and gather more intelligence. Captain Frank Wilson, a veteran pilot with steady hands and calm nerves, led the Earth fleet. As they prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel using the alien ship's technology, he addressed his crew. "We never wanted this war," he said simply. "We were exploring peacefully. But if they force this fight, we'll show them something they've never seen before. We'll show them humanity." The Earth ships disappeared in flashes of blue light, carrying humanity's counterattack to the stars. And in the vast chamber of the Galactic Council, light years away, the news finally arrived. The subjugation fleet had been defeated by primitives, by humans. The council members looked at each other in shock and, for the first time in thousands of years, in fear. Captain Frank Wilson's small fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near a council outpost orbiting a gas giant. The outpost was a spinning ring structure with docking bays extending outward like spokes. 5 defense ships detected, reported. His navigator, a young woman named Diane Miller. Frank nodded calmly. Just as the intel suggested. Are they tracking us? No, sir. The stealth systems are working perfectly. Frank turned to his communications officer. Record this message and prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. He cleared his throat. This is Captain Frank Wilson of Earth. We offered peace. You chose war. Now you'll understand why Earth has never been conquered. The Earth ships moved into attack formation. Unlike the hurried defense of their home planet, this attack had been carefully planned. Each Earth vessel targeted a specific alien defense ship. On my mark, Frank ordered. 3, 2, 1, execute. The council ships never saw the attack coming. 4 were disabled in the first volley. The 5th managed to fire back, but its weapons were ineffective against the shields reverse-engineered from their own technology. Boarding teams ready, Frank commanded. Remember, we need their data cores intact. Back on Earth, the mood had shifted from desperate defense to cautious optimism. In the Nevada Command Center, now expanded and renamed Earth Defense Command, Dr. Alan Carter studied the data flowing in from the captured council ships. Their technology is amazing, he told General Moore, but not magical. They've had thousands of years of peace to develop it. No need to innovate quickly. Unlike us, Moore replied with a grim smile. Necessity is the mother of invention, and we've had plenty of necessity. Sam Richards burst into the room waving a tablet. I've cracked another level of their network. You won't believe what I found. He set the tablet down, showing a star map with hundreds of points marked in red. These are all subject species, planets conquered by the Council over the last 10,000 years. Alan pointed to one dot. And this one? That's us. Earth. We were scheduled for integration this year. It was all planned out. General Susan Wright, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. Are any of these subject species still fighting? Back? Sam scrolled through the data. A few. Most have been under Council rule for generations. But there are 3 systems marked as ongoing pacification. Potential allies, Susan said. We should reach out to them. On the captured Council, command ship, now renamed Earthship Defiance, Admiral Krelar sat in a holding cell. Commander Martinez entered, accompanied by a team of scientists. You cannot win, Krelar said flatly. The Council controls thousands of worlds, millions of ships. You've survived the first wave, nothing more. Olivia sat across from him. Tell me about these ongoing pacifications. The 3 species still resisting Council rule. The alien's top eyes narrowed. How do you know about that? We know a lot more than you think. Your encryption wasn't as good as you believed. Krelar was silent for a long moment. The Vexstar, the Krell, and the Myconids, they're all primitive like you. The Krell have been fighting the longest, almost 30 years. And yet they're still fighting, Olivia noted. Not for much longer, the Council is patient. Olivia stood. Well, now they'll have to be patient with us too. News of Captain Wilson's successful attack on the Council outpost spread quickly through Earth's military. Within days, 3 more fleets launched, each targeting different Council facilities within reach. The Council, for the first time in its history, found itself on the defensive. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, located on a massive space station at the galaxy's center, panic was spreading. Representatives from 100 dominant species gathered in emergency session. High Counselor Drexmore, a tall being with metallic skin and 6 limbs, called for order. How could primitive beings defeat our advanced fleet? I demand explanations. The Minister of Defense, a reptilian creature named Sislik, responded. The humans appear to have had access to Council technology before our official contact. They have weapons identical to ours. Impossible, shouted another counselor. No species has ever defeated a subjugation fleet. Reports continued to arrive. Another outpost had fallen to the humans, then another. Council colonies near Earth's solar system reported human ships appearing without warning, broadcasting the same message before attacking. We offered peace. You chose war. On Earth, the war effort expanded rapidly. With the knowledge gained from captured ships, humanity's technology advanced by centuries and weeks. Nations that had been enemies for generations now worked side by side, in a laboratory. Beneath London, Dr. Johnson worked with scientists from 20 nations to develop new weapons. The Council's biggest advantage was time, he explained to visiting military officials. They've had thousands of years of peace to develop their technology. But peace makes you complacent. War drives innovation. He unveiled a new ship design on a holographic display. Half the size of their vessels, twice the firepower, and 3 times the speed. General Moore nodded approvingly. How soon can we build them? With the new automated factories? 6 days per ship. In orbit around Earth, shipyards that hadn't existed 2 months ago now hummed with activity. The first generation of Earth's Space Navy, built from captured and reverse-engineered technology, was already being replaced by the second generation, designed specifically for war. 6 months after first contact, humanity had destroyed or captured 47 Council outposts and 17 colonies. More importantly, they had made contact with the 3 species still resisting Council rule. The Krell, reptilian beings with natural armor and a warrior culture, were the first to form an alliance with Earth. The Vex Dar, insectoid creatures, with advanced bioengineering, followed soon after. The Myconids, fungal entities with powerful psychic abilities, were more cautious but eventually joined what became known as the Freedom Alliance. On the bridge of the Earth ship Vengeance, the newest and most powerful vessel in the fleet, General Susan Wright met with leaders from all 3 species. For thousands of years, the Council has ruled through fear, she told them. They convince each species they're alone in resisting. But together, we can end their dominance. Krell War Chief Grok slammed his fist on the table. My people have fought alone for 30 years. With human weapons, we will crush the Council. Vexstar Queen Engineer Zekatike clicked her mandibles excitedly. The bioweapons we develop will disable their systems without destroying infrastructure. My Conid Elder Spore pulsed softly. And our mind warriors will confuse their commanders, making them doubt their own orders. Susan smiled. Together we'll rewrite the future of this galaxy. The Council's rule, unchallenged for 12,000 years, was crumbling faster than anyone thought possible. 1 year after first contact, the war had spread across the galaxy. The Council, once believed undefeatable, had lost control of 23 star systems. The Freedom Alliance grew stronger each day as more subjugated species joined the rebellion. Oni, the Galactic Council Station, High Counselor Drexmore faced open rebellion from within. Representatives of species that had enjoyed privileged status for centuries now questioned the Council's leadership. We have lost 1/3 of our military strength, said Counselor Zelthorn, a winged being representing the Aviax Confederation. The humans and their allies grow stronger with each victory. The Krell have reclaimed their home system, added another counselor. After 30 years of our occupation, they drove our forces out in 6 days. Drexmore slammed a metallic fist. Down. We have ruled this galaxy for 12,000 years. We will not be defeated by primitives. But his words rang hollow. Fear had replaced confidence in the Grand Chamber. On Earth, the planet had transformed. Technology that once seemed like magic was now commonplace. Ships that could travel faster than light were manufactured daily. Energy weapons were standard issue for all military forces. In the expanded Earth Defense Command Center, now located in a massive underground complex beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Kate Moore studied reports from across the galaxy. The Council is pulling back to defend their core systems, she told her officers. They've abandoned their outer colonies. Alan Carter, now heading the science division, nodded. They're getting desperate. Our spies report they're developing new weapons. General Susan Wright, commander of the Freedom Alliance Joint Forces, appeared on a holographic display. She was broadcasting from her flagship near the liberated Krell homeworld. We've intercepted Council communications, Susan reported. They're planning something called the Final Solution. They intend to use planet-killer weapons on Earth and the other Alliance homeworlds. The room fell silent. How much time do we have? Asked Moore. 3 weeks, maybe less. They're gathering their remaining forces at Nexus Prime. Moore turned to her staff. Then we strike first. Again. Across the galaxy, the Alliance prepared for the largest battle in the war. Every available ship was called to join the assault on Nexus Prime, the strategic hub where the Council was assembling its fleet. On the Earthship Defiance, Commander Olivia Martinez prepared her crew. The ship had been upgraded 3 times since its capture from the Council, and now barely resembled its original form. This will be the most important battle of the war, she told her crew. If we destroy their fleet at Nexus Prime, they won't be able to launch their planet killers. Admiral Krelar, still a prisoner but now forced to serve as an advisor, watched from the side of the bridge. You have come far, humans, he said quietly to Olivia. I never believed it possible. You should have studied our history more carefully, she replied. Humans have always been at our best when facing extinction. The Alliance assembled the largest fleet ever seen in the galaxy. Over 2,000 ships gathered at the edge of the Nexus system. Earth vessels made up 1/3 of the force. Krell warships with their heavy armor and powerful weapons formed the front line. Vexidar bioships capable of adapting to enemy attacks protected the flanks. Myconid mineships, strange organic vessels that could project confusion into enemy crews, waited in reserve. And they were not alone. 7 other formerly subjugated species had joined the Alliance, each bringing their own unique vessels and warfare techniques. Captain Frank Wilson, now Admiral Wilson, commanded the joint fleet. From the newest Earth flagship, the Humanity's Hope. All ships report ready, Admiral, said his executive officer Jack Bell. Frank took a deep breath. Send the message to all ships. Operation Liberation begins now. The Alliance fleet jumped into the Nexus system, emerging in perfect formation, around the Council armada. The Council had assembled nearly 3,000 ships, but they were not prepared for an attack. They had expected to launch their offensive, not defend against one. The battle began instantly. Alliance ships fired the moment they emerged from hyperspace. The Council fleet, caught by surprise, struggled to organize a defense. On the Humanity's Hope, Admiral Wilson watched the tactical displays as the battle unfolded. Council ships breaking formation in Sector 4, reported the tactical officer. The Krell are pushing through, added another officer. Their new armor is holding against Council weapons. Frank nodded. Tell the Vexdar to deploy their biodisruptors. Target the Council flagship. In the heart of the Council fleet, a massive vessel 3 times the size of any other ship tried to coordinate the defense. High Counselor Drex Moore had taken personal command, believing his tactical genius would save them. But he had never faced humans before. He had never faced a species that had evolved through thousands of years of constant warfare. The Vexdar bioships released clouds of microscopic organisms that penetrated the Council vessel's air systems. The organisms didn't harm living beings but disrupted electronic systems on contact. Across the Council fleet, ships began losing power. Weapons went offline. Communication systems failed. Meanwhile, the Myconid mine ships projected waves of confusion and fear. Council captains found themselves unable to focus, doubting their own decisions, hesitating when they needed to act quickly. Their defenses are failing, Frank observed. Begin Phase 2. Earth's newest weapons were deployed for the first time. Quantum disruptors, developed from a combination of Council technology and human innovation, fired beams that passed through shields as if they weren't there. Council ships began to explode across the battlefield. Others drifted powerless, their crews abandoning ship in escape pods. In the Grand Council chamber on the station at the galaxy's center, The remaining counselors watched in horror as reports came in. "The fleet is destroyed," reported a communications officer. "High Counselor Drexmore's ship has been captured. The planet killer weapons? Seized by Alliance forces." The counselors looked at each other. 12,000 years of dominance had ended in just 15 months. On the Humanity's Hope, Admiral Wilson received the news of victory with quiet satisfaction. The battle had been won with fewer casualties than expected. The Council fleet was destroyed or captured. The planet killer weapons were secured. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "The Council's military capability has been neutralized. They can no longer threaten any Alliance world." As the message sped toward Earth, celebrations began across the Alliance. Species that had lived under Council oppression for centuries or millennia tasted freedom for the first time. And on the bridge of his ship, Frank Wilson looked out at the stars, thinking about how quickly everything had changed. From a species facing extinction to the leaders of a galactic alliance, humanity had risen farther and faster than anyone could have imagined. The Council had made one simple mistake. They had threatened a species that refused to surrender, no matter the odds. 2 weeks after the Battle of Nexus Prime, representatives from all Alliance species gathered at the former Council headquarters. The massive space station, once the symbol of Council dominance, now hosted the birth of a new galactic order. Earth's Ambassador Lisa Collins led the human delegation. A former diplomat with kind eyes and a firm voice, she had been chosen to represent humanity in this historic moment. Behind her stood General Kate Moore, Admiral Frank Wilson, and the other military leaders who had guided Earth's defense and counterattack. In the grand chamber where the Council had ruled for 12,000 years, Lisa approached the central podium. Representatives from over 30 species watched in silence. Some had been fighting the Council for decades. Others had only recently broken free after centuries of subjugation. 1 year ago, Lisa began, Earth faced extinction. The Council arrived without warning and demanded our surrender. They expected us to bow down without a fight. She paused, looking around the chamber. They were wrong. The gathered representatives nodded in agreement. But today we are not here to celebrate victory. We are here to build something new. Earth does not seek domination. We seek partnership. We will never accept subjugation, and we will never impose it on others. High Counselor Drexmore, now a prisoner, was brought forward in restraints. His metallic skin had lost its shine and his 6 limbs were bound. "You have destroyed the greatest civilization in galactic history," he said, his voice still proud despite his defeat. 12,000 years of order and progress, ended by primitives. Lisa looked at him calmly. "What you call order, others called oppression. What you call progress came at the cost of freedom for countless beings. That was not civilization. That was tyranny." Drexmore was led away. He would face justice, along with the other Council leaders, for crimes against countless species. The remaining Council members had already sued for peace. Their military was destroyed, their planet-killer weapons seized. The once mighty Galactic Council had collapsed in just 15 months, undone by the one species they had underestimated most. Dr. Alan Carter and a team of scientists from across the Alliance had spent weeks examining the Council's archives. He stepped forward now to address the gathering. "The Council claimed to represent civilization, but their records tell a different story," he explained. "For 12,000 years, they systematically suppressed any species that showed too much independence. They prevented technological advancement that might challenge their rule. They kept hundreds of species as little more than slaves." He displayed a holographic map showing the 1,000 worlds once under Council control. "But the Council's time is over. Now we must decide what comes next." Over the next 7 days, the Alliance representatives debated the future of galactic governance. Some wanted to return to complete independence for all worlds. Others feared that without some unifying structure, new conflicts would arise. In the end, they agreed on a framework for a new galactic alliance. Unlike the Council, it would be based on principles of equal representation, mutual defense, and shared prosperity. No species would rule over others. Each world would maintain its independence while contributing to the common good. The Treaty of New Earth was drafted and signed by all 32 species. Earth, as the catalyst for change, was granted the honor of naming the new alliance, but Lisa Collins declined special status for humanity. "We are one voice among many," she insisted. "Our strength comes from our unity, not from any one species dominating the others." On the final day of the conference, representatives gathered for the formal establishment of the new Galactic Alliance. The massive chamber, once decorated with symbols of council supremacy, had been redesigned. A circular table now replaced the hierarchical arrangement with equal places for all member species. Krell War Chief Grok, his scaled skin bearing the scars of decades of fighting, spoke for many when he addressed Lisa. "My people fought the council for 30 years. We were losing. Then humans arrived and achieved in months what we could not in decades. Why?" Lisa considered the question carefully. "Perhaps because we had to," she answered. "When facing extinction, humans become our most creative, our most determined, our most unified. The Council never understood that threatening us would only make us stronger." Vexstar Queen Engineer Zikitke clicked her mandibles in agreement. The Council's greatest mistake was believing that technological superiority guaranteed victory. They forgot that adaptation and innovation are the true advantages in conflict. Myconid Elderspore added, "And they never valued diversity of thought. The Council sought uniformity. Humans embraced differences and found strength in them." As the ceremony concluded, the representatives of 32 species stood together. For the first time in 12,000 years, the galaxy would not be ruled by fear and oppression. On Earth, people celebrated. Cities that had once prepared for alien invasion now hosted visitors from a dozen worlds. Children who had hidden in shelters a year ago now looked to the stars with wonder instead of fear. In the United Nations building in New York, where the Council's ultimatum had first been delivered, General Kate Moore stood at the podium beneath a banner reading, "Per Aspera, et Astra, through hardship to the stars. Today marks a new chapter for humanity," she declared to the assembled world leaders and billions watching around the globe. "We went to the stars seeking friends and found enemies instead. But in facing that threat, we proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or technology. It's our unwillingness to surrender even when the odds seem impossible." She gestured to the representatives of the Alliance species who had joined her on stage. "And now we've found our true friends. Together, we've built something that will endure far longer than the Council's empire of fear." As night fell over Earth, people everywhere looked up at the stars with new understanding. The universe was vast and full of wonders and dangers, but humanity had proven itself equal to the challenge. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again.